Tonight, Hollywood witnessed a moment no one expected. The atmosphere inside Jimmy Kimmel Live was electric, the crowd charged, the lights blinding, but beneath that glitz, something raw and unpredictable was about to unfold. Mark Wahlberg, known for his composure, confidence, and straight-talking Boston energy, found himself at the center of an explosive on-air clash that would send shockwaves through late-night television. Welcome to Story Vault, where we uncover the untold truths behind the world's most unforgettable on-air moments. The evening began like any other Jimmy Kimmel episode. The audience roared as the familiar theme music played and the cameras panned across the bright set. Jimmy, charismatic and grinning, waved to the crowd as he welcomed his special guest for the night, the one and only Mark Wahlberg. Mark appeared from backstage, clapping and smiling, that trademark swagger in his step. He greeted Jimmy with a hug and a nod to the audience, flashing that confident grin he's known for. It all looked normal, two Hollywood giants sharing laughs on live television. The studio lights gleamed against the polished desk as they settled in, ready to talk about Mark's new film, his fitness empire, and a few fun anecdotes from his career. At first, the energy was perfect. Jimmy joked about Mark's intense workout routines, the 3 a.m. gym sessions, and his reputation for discipline. Mark laughed, telling stories about his early mornings, balancing business, family, and film life. The crowd loved it, the chemistry was smooth, friendly, professional. But then, as the segment transitioned into more personal territory, Jimmy shifted tone. His smile turned slightly teasing as he began to touch on the subject of Mark's controversial past, bringing up old interviews and headlines, the kind that Mark has long tried to move past. Jimmy leaned in, a smirk forming. You ever look back and think maybe some of those younger years still follow you a little, Mark? The room grew still. The laughter softened into silence. Mark's smile faded, his jaw tightening just slightly. The kind of micro-expression you catch only when the cameras are rolling and there's nowhere to hide. He replied calmly at first, Jimmy, I think everyone's got a past, man. I've worked my whole life to be a better person. You know that. Jimmy chuckled lightly, trying to keep the mood easy, but he didn't stop there. He added, oh, I know. But come on, people still remember the headlines. You've punched a few reporters, right? Maybe you've still got that Boston fire in you. The audience gave an awkward laugh. The tension thickened. Mark's eyes shifted from the crowd back to Jimmy, cool, firm, unreadable. Let's not go there tonight, man, he said, half smiling but his tone edged. We're here to talk about the movie. Let's keep it positive. But Jimmy wasn't ready to let go of the moment. Maybe it was for the laughs, maybe for ratings, maybe he thought he could push just a little further. No disrespect, Jimmy said, but we all love a good redemption story. It's just, sometimes it feels like Hollywood forgets the details. The audience gasped lightly. The air turned heavy. Mark leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his voice firm now. Hollywood forgets nothing, but it also forgives when people do the work. I've done mine. If you can't see that, that's on you. The silence stretched longer this time. Even Jimmy's usual smirk softened into something awkward. He realized he had crossed a line, but it was already too late. The live audience wasn't sure if they should laugh or stay quiet. Cameras caught every twitch, every breath. You could feel the energy shifting, the bright set lights suddenly seemed colder. Jimmy tried to backpedal, his voice light again. Hey, I'm just teasing, Mark. You know how it is, we bust chops here. But Mark wasn't laughing. He gave a small shake of his head, removed his mic pack, and muttered under his breath, yeah, not tonight, man. Then, to everyone's disbelief, he stood up. The camera tried to follow as Mark adjusted his jacket and looked toward the crew. The audience gasped, some still thinking it might be part of the act. But it wasn't. His tone was real, sharp, cutting through the awkward silence. I came here to talk about my film, my work, not to relive stuff from 30 years ago, Mark said. You want to joke, find someone else. He turned, gave a brief nod to the audience, and walked off stage. The camera zoomed out quickly, catching Jimmy's startled face as the band awkwardly played off the moment. The show cut to commercial. Inside the studio, the air was thick. Crew members whispered among themselves. Jimmy sat still for a moment, then chuckled awkwardly, trying to save face. Well, Mark Wahlberg, everybody. Guess we'll be right back after this. But the clip, that 60-second flash of live drama, was already being recorded, clipped, and shared across every social media platform within minutes. By the time the commercial break ended, the internet had exploded. Hashtags like hashtag Mark Walkout, hashtag Jimmy Kimmel Clash, and hashtag Wahlberg Live were trending worldwide. Fans were split, some saying Jimmy pushed too far, others claiming Mark overreacted. Backstage, security cameras caught Mark pacing near the exit door, his team surrounding him, trying to calm him down. A producer from the show approached carefully, mic in hand, asking if he'd like to return to finish the interview. Mark shook his head. "Nah," he said, his voice calm but firm. "That's not the kind of conversation I came here for. You can tell him no hard feelings, just not my vibe tonight." Later that night, TMZ, Entertainment Tonight, and every major news outlet were running variations of the story. Mark Wahlberg storms off Jimmy Kimmel Live after explosive exchange. Clips of the moment looped endlessly on YouTube, TikTok, and X. People dissected every frame, every word. Body language experts analyzed Mark's reactions, while fans flooded Jimmy's social media with comments. Some defended him, saying talk shows thrive on edgy humor, while others accused him of baiting a guest for ratings. Even celebrities chimed in. Dwayne Johnson tweeted, "Mark's one of the realest guys in the business. Stand tall, brother." Meanwhile, others urged for calm, reminding everyone how unpredictable live TV can be. But what really kept the internet buzzing was the rawness of it all, the unscripted honesty, the moment where showbiz glitter cracked to reveal something deeply human. The next morning, paparazzi caught Mark leaving his gym in Los Angeles. Reporters called out, asking if he regretted walking out. He smiled slightly and said, "No regrets, man. I don't play games with people's pasts." He added, "Jimmy's doing his thing. I've got nothing but respect. Just wasn't my night." That simple statement softened the story, reminding everyone why Mark Wahlberg remains one of the few actors who still speaks his truth, even under the blinding glare of fame. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel addressed it briefly the next evening, half-jokingly saying, "Note to self, don't mess with Mark Wahlberg." The audience laughed, easing the tension, but the spark of that live clash lingered online for days. People rewatched it not for scandal, but for authenticity, because in a world of rehearsed smiles and safe interviews, that one moment of raw emotion felt startlingly real. What makes television moments like this unforgettable isn't the argument itself, but what it reveals. That beneath every celebrity mask, there's a human being with limits, pride, and emotion. Mark Wahlberg's Walkout wasn't about anger, it was about boundaries. About knowing when humor becomes disrespect. About standing up for your truth, even when millions are watching. As the weeks passed, the noise faded, but the clip remained one of the most replayed segments of the year, analyzed, debated, and immortalized in internet culture. And somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, there was a lesson, not just for Hollywood, but for everyone watching. That fame doesn't erase feelings, that respect still matters, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. And that's what makes it a story vault moment, real, raw, unforgettable. 5 luxury cars glide down a sleek city road under soft golden light. A Rolls-Royce Phantom leads, followed by a Bentley, a Maybach, an Aston Martin, and a Lamborghini, reflections glinting under a twilight skyline. The sound of engines hums beneath a cinematic piano tone as the Story Vault logo fades in silver and gold across the screen, floating above a glossy black surface. The cars slow, headlights forming a glowing V shape as the music rises. The scene fades to darkness, and the voice returns, calm, certain, final. This is Story Vault, where every story has a spark, a storm, and a truth behind the curtain.